Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today I'm unboxing a reference quality streaming server from Aurender, their A1000. Now Aurender does some of the best streamers available, some of the most expensive streamers money can buy. 2 and 3 box designs, external clocks, master clocks, you name it. They produce some of the reference equipment associated with the very, very best outcome for streamed audio. They do rippers, servers, and, like this A1000, a stunning streamer. Now, to overcome some of the things associated with network noise and other things along those lines, Aurender does an amazing job by caching all of the music before it plays it back. It's also a wonderful harmony of the quality of the hardware, so the physical things inside the box, and the software to ensure that it's making a bit-perfect render of the music itself, the file, and an upscaling and oversampling associated with its digital to analog conversion. The combination is utterly perfect, and it's wonderful to share what is Aurender's entry-level A1000 streamer today. Now, right, Aurender, a Korean company. They've got distribution all over the world. This one got air freighted to me. It has 2 boxes. The first outer box is designed to protect it in freight. It's actually made from plastic core flue, same stuff that the real estate agents use for their signs. Black box, sealed closed with Aurender packing tape. We've got an A1000 and an implication of its colour and voltage. There's also the serial number and scannable information. Bit of information about how you stack them and move them around and things like that. On one side we've got the Aurender logo, their website, and then information associated with the fact that it'll run Spotify Connect, Tidal, Chromecast, all of those things. We'll dive into that. Opening this is really straightforward. Again, the product itself is protected really well. So the first step is to cut open that core flue outer box, and this helps to keep it free from moisture and also add some impact resistance, as the stiff nature of the core flue means it's really going to be protected brilliantly in transit. Pretty straightforward at this point to just sort of lift that outer box. Okay, get rid of it. And we're then looking at the lovely clean Aurender box on the inside. Now, there's nothing as far as model numbers, serial numbers, anything on that box. It's all pretty clean. It's taped closed with some Aurender branded packing tape, and it's pretty straightforward to get that open. Inside we see the box. The first box we'll see, of course, suspended in the closed cell foam packaging is the accessory box. We'll pause and have a look. In that box is a New Zealand and Australian IEC power cord, the remote control in an Aurender branded Ziploc bag. The remote comes with a couple of Energizer AAA batteries, and the remote is in its own little separate bag, which, if I understand correctly, is one of these new organic-y disposable bags. Anyway, right, now the remote control. The remote control is a combination of infrared and Bluetooth. And once you power up the unit, it's very straightforward. You push and hold 2 buttons, including the Bluetooth one, and it pairs to the unit, and then it doesn't really matter if you're pointing it at it or around the place. The remote control has the ability to navigate through the playlists and the features and functions of the amplifier, sorry, the streamer, as well as turn it on out of standby. Because it has inputs to utilize the DAC and outputs, you'll see buttons associated with those, and the output can be both fixed and variable, so there's a volume control on there as well. Then we've got an excellent setup manual. It's multilingual, and each page is associated with the main things that you will see in the A1000. Right, okay. Now, removing that cut closed cell foam, we see a simple piece to protect the top of the unit, and then the unit itself. Now, the Aurender streamer, this one's not full width, it's sort of 3/4. It doesn't need to be any bigger, by the way, and you'll see why. Nevertheless, we lift that out and get rid of the box. Now, the streamer is protected with a semi-soft bag, just sort of lifting it off is really easy. Okay, now the Aurender, this one's in silver. The A1000's available in silver and black, and please, as always, hang around for some close-up photographs. We'll get the black one and stack them on top so that you can see what they look like in each colorway. Nevertheless, the first thing when you unbox this is how impressively built it is. It's heavy, it's rigid, it's brilliant as far as the effort that Aurender have made in the construction and manufacturing of it. So tilt it forward, you'll see they've utilised an aluminium top plate screwed in place, and it is lathed with the Aurender logo. The front of it exposes first of all a large colour display. Now the display is utilised not just for cover art, but also some of the features associated with changing the volume, scrolling through the playlist, and also implications of the track and how far it's playing through. In sort of its play mode, it also shows its IP address and some other information associated with its day-to-day operation. The front the front is sort of curved and extruded aluminium, and the Aurender logo above what is a standby button. Because this is based around a high-end computing format, you shouldn't sort of reach around and turn it on and off at the switch at the back like you might an old integrated amplifier. The on-off button at the front sort of brings it back down to an off state nicely, sort of like a shutdown mode. And when you turn it on, it brings it out of, it boots it up and into a on mode. Beneath that, oh by the way, there's a little LED that glows, lets you know the status, the sort of pulses associated with its startup and shutdown as well. Beneath that we've got both an input and an output button, and essentially between that and an IR sensor for the remote control. The input button allows you to cycle between a USB-A input, an HDMI for the audio return perhaps out of a television, as well as the onboard server and a coaxial digital input as well. The output allows you to select between its analog outputs, utilising the onboard DAC, its USB output for an external stream of some kind, and a coax output should you ever want to attach this to an external DAC. Again, centralised full colour display, and then we see a series of buttons. There's 4 buttons under a rotary encoder. The first button has 3 lines, and that helps initially navigate through the playlist and other things along those lines. So basically you set it playing and that becomes a sort of a throwaway playlist that you can scroll through. Again, it's important to reinforce that that playlist, the entire playlist, is held in cache. So it's not having to fight with network and network noise to get the very best out of it. It's eliminating that noise, dropping those files on board to play back as required. So brilliant. Nevertheless, beside that sort of playlist button is a skip backwards, then a play pause button and a skip forwards. I love the fact that it has some hard buttons on this particular unit. There are times when you don't necessarily want to pick up your phone and select what you want to play. You just want to set going what you were previously playing, and the ability to wander up and just push a button is pretty important for that. Above that is that rotary encoder that I alluded to, and this allows straight out of the box for you to adjust the volume, but if you get into the app associated with its control, you can then shut the volume down into a fixed output to slightly improve the overall fidelity of the unit. Spinning it around, you see that it has an extruded aluminium side panel, and they've added this sort of two-tone. So obviously with the black unit this is black and the rest of it's black. With this it's adding a two-colour tone with a silver-black combination, which I think is really, really elegant. It's at the back that some of the elegance turns into functionality. The first thing to note is that the unit can be utilised as a server. It has a slot that you can add a hard drive for. Now it will actually support up to 8 terabytes, which is a huge music library, and then it will serve that up to the onboard streaming as well as the obviously internet connection for all of your services like Tidal and Qobuz, etc. There's a little black section here that's associated with the aerial for Bluetooth. The unit itself does not have Wi-Fi. Now there's a couple of reasons. Firstly, from a stability perspective, Wi-Fi is easily trumped by a fixed network connection. But the second is associated with the noise associated with Wi-Fi communication. So to have that in a box that's then trying to strangle, I mean, it's just going to sound awful. So it's wonderful that they've decided to opt against having Wi-Fi and just have Bluetooth for the purposes of some basic convenience rather than the noise associated with a Wi-Fi streaming connection. Then we see a sticky label with the model, colour and serial number, along with a bit of information about the A1000. Off to this side we see the analog outputs. Now these are brilliant quality RCA or single-ended outputs, clearly labelled right and left. Beside it is another set of RCAs, and these are the digital ins and out, again clearly labelled. Now look, as always, hang around for the photographs, we'll take some close-ups. Actually, speaking of those photographs, make sure you do hang around, because what I'll do is I'll power this one up and I'll show you some cool little features. One of the things after having a bit of a play with this is that the A1000, as soon as you power it up and it obtains a network connection, downloads all the software and software updates straight away. There's no need, there's no user input required to get it up to date and operating. And I think that's kind of brilliant. So many of these setup processes functionally fine, but often have a hurdle associated with a password or something you've forgotten, or something that ends up in spiraling down into this plug hole of potential problems. Well, this one does it automatically. So just leave it alone for 5 minutes, pops to life, and it's utterly perfect. So it's brilliant. Again, it's that hybrid, that synergy of brilliant quality hardware and brilliant software to back it up, so that you as the end user end up with a brilliant experience. Nevertheless, moving on, we've got an optical digital input, we've got the HDMI input for audio return potentially from a TV, and the USB, these three inputs we alluded to earlier. There's a fixed LAN connection, and it's gigabit. Then there's a 12-volt trigger. Now it allows for something to be turned on. Potentially if you're using this as a streaming preamp and the flexibility of the volume control that it has on board, you could turn on a power amplifier or something else that it's connected to. There's also a USB, and this will provide 5 volts at 0.5 of an amp, and then a USB 3 connection for a large external hard drive. Again, it will happily serve whatever it might need to. Above the 12-volt trigger we've also got a ground. Now I've played around with that, not noticed any difference, but I'll be honest that if a product like this has a ground, you can eliminate some of the potential noise trickling to the next component by looping all of those to earth. So attach a ground, doesn't have to be an expensive cable, but adding that to the ground of the amplifier is probably a very useful way of improving its performance. Boring parts last, we've got the IEC power input, it's fused, and then a simple rocker switch for power. Now before we sort of sign off, it's worth mentioning all of the Aurender products come with a concierge service. So this is a sort of a support. You know, they can dial in and help, connect things, you name it. Well, they might ask for an IP address or a MAC address, and away they go as far as connecting and responding to issues associated with the streamer. Because Aurender understand that their products can be complex, But to make them simple, they need to support that with the end user, so that's utterly brilliant. Also, inside the box, and please, what I'm going to do is allude to another video over here. We're going to see inside this. I'm going to take the lid off and we'll see just how good the quality of these products are. Nevertheless, inside we see toroidal power supply specifically associated with the operating system, cache, and sort of the computery side of things. And then 2 additional power supplies for the Dual-Mono DACs. It's utterly stunning that they have worked so hard to do things perfectly from a hardware perspective and again from a software perspective. They run 128 gigabytes of cache memory specifically for your music library, and then an onboard of 32 or something like that for its operating system. It's Roon ready, it does all of the streaming you would expect, all the high-end Tidal and Tidal Connect. It even does AirPlay and Chromecast audio as well. The Bluetooth, as I said, is Aptx-HD, so it's brilliant as well. So, there we have it. This brilliant streamer from Aurender, the A1000, unboxed here at the Listening Post in Christchurch, New Zealand. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.